So today I'm tasting Best's Thomson Family Shiraz 2020 vintage. We released at 5 years old and they've been selling it for us for all that time. This is an amazing wine. This is something very special. It comes from Great Western, of course, in the Grampians region of Victoria. A very old region which goes back to the gold mining days of the 1860s. These vines were planted in 1868. So when the 2020 vintage of this wine was made, they were 152 years old. 152 years is very old for any kind of plant. But grapevines can live for a very long time if they're well looked after and if they're planted in a place that is not too fertile so that they don't grow too vigorously and they're not irrigated too heavily and pushed like that, but allowed to just live their life as placidly as nature allows them in the place where they're planted. How did these vines survive for that long? They were always made into good wine, I suspect, even way back in the days of Henry Best, who planted them, and before the Thomson family came along in 1920, I think it was. Of course, the vines existed there because they made good wine. The entire original plantings of Henry Best are still there alongside the Conkingella Creek in the little village of Great Western. The vineyard is known as the Conkingella Vineyard because it's on the side of the creek. And the clone that goes into this is an unknown clone, but it's thought to be one of the great clones of Shiraz in the country, and it's known as the Best's clone because they don't know what else to call it, or the Conkingella clone. And lots of other people around Australia have actually taken cuttings from these vines to plant the Best's or the Conkingella clone of Shiraz because it has such a great track record for making fantastic wines. This wine was first produced in 1992, which was the centenary of the family arriving in the district. And they've only made it in 6 out of 10 vintages since then. So it's a very special wine because of its quality, but also because of the age of the vines and its rarity. It's a single vineyard wine. It comes from a very small block of vines, 15 rows, I think, of Shiraz vines beside the Conkingella Creek. So if something bad happens that year, like it's too hot or too cold or too dry or too wet, they might not have enough fruit to put the wine in a separate bottling. So those grapes, if there are any, would go into the next Best Shiraz in the hierarchy, which is the famous bin number 0, Best's bin number 0, Great Western Shiraz. But this is the rare one. This is a great wine, and I've got a glass of it here. Just been looking at the colour, which is not a particularly dark colour. It's not a saturated colour like a lot of people make reserve wines which are black in colour and dense and impenetrable. But that's not what the Great Western region does. Similarly, neither is the wine a blockbuster. It's a medium to full-bodied wine. It's intense, it's powerful, it's long, it's great flavour, but it's not a big wine, it's not a heavy wine. The tannins are fine and svelte, they're not clunky. The oak is very gently managed. There's only 20% new barrels were used in the maturation. So this is a wine where the fruit, this is extraordinarily old vines and their wonderful individual fruit character is being allowed to speak clearly without cluttering it up with too much winemaking. Very complex. It's now 5 years old and it's entering into its secondary phase of development. So those primary fruit characters of blackberry and mint and those sorts of things are fading away a little bit and giving rise to more interesting, more complex secondary characters. When you taste it, it's beautifully drinkable, which is the one thing Viv Thomson and the people who produce this wine talk about, is the drinkability, the balance, the lovely equanimity of the wines. They are seamlessly elegant wines which just flow across your palate and you immediately want another sip. That's the sort of wine I like. Cheers.